Before I begin, welcome to this channel where I share long, first-person stories about marriage, betrayal, and the exact moment someone decides they've had enough. If you like calm, detailed confessions that feel uncomfortably real, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because today I'm going to tell you how my own wife turned me into a monster in the eyes of our neighbors just to feel accepted by 3 toxic friends. Disclaimer: everything you're about to hear is fiction, created only for entertainment. Any resemblance to real people or situations is purely coincidental. My name is Adrian, and my wife and I have been married a little over 4 years. Long enough for me to notice patterns that used to seem harmless, and long enough for those same patterns to start looking dangerous. From the beginning, it was obvious she carried a deep, almost desperate need to be liked. The kind of need that doesn't just want friendship, it wants approval. She's what people call a people pleaser. She bends around other people's moods, takes on their opinions, and sacrifices her own comfort just to avoid being disliked. Social life has never come naturally to her. She's introverted, shy with new people, and uncomfortable in groups. So making close friends is hard for her. But when she finally connects with someone and decides, "This is my friend," something strange happens. It's like a switch flips. She starts copying what that person likes. She adopts their habits. She adjusts her personality, little by little, to fit what she thinks they'll accept. And the longer she stays around them, the less I recognize the woman I married. I'm introverted too, so I understand what it feels like to be drained by social situations. But I deal with it differently. I don't have that same hunger to impress people. I'm okay being myself, even if it means not everyone will like me. Maybe that's why my wife's behavior always felt unreal to me, like she was performing a role to earn approval. For a long time, I told myself it was just a quirk, a coping mechanism, something harmless. I was wrong. Last Thursday, I came home from work expecting a quiet evening. The second I opened the front door, I knew that wasn't going to happen. I heard loud voices and laughter pouring out of the living room. My stomach tightened immediately because I recognized those voices. My wife had invited over her usual neighborhood friends, 3 women I avoided whenever I could. It wasn't that I hated socializing. I just hated socializing with them. They weren't kind people. They weren't considerate. And they didn't bring peace into our home. They brought poison dressed up as girl talk. Chapter 1: Behind Closed Smiles. The first one is Nora. She divorced fairly recently and still carries a lot of rage from it. Her ex cheated on her with their babysitter, and ever since then she's decided every man on earth is the same as him. She doesn't filter herself. She calls men liars, garbage, predators in waiting. Right in front of me, right in front of my wife, like it's a public service announcement. On some level, I understand where bitterness comes from. Trauma changes people. But what bothered me was how comfortable she was dragging my marriage into her personal war. More than once she joked that we were lucky we didn't have kids yet. Because in her mind, the moment we hired a nanny, I'd cheat. Just like her ex did. The first time she said it, I was stunned. I tried to laugh it off. Then she said it again. And again. And every time, it left the same sour taste in my mouth. Because it wasn't a joke. It was an accusation. The truth is simple. I love my wife. Whether we have kids or not, whether we ever hire help or not, I would never betray her. So hearing Nora casually suggest I would, based on nothing but her own pain, was insulting. Then there was Dana. Dana is married, and she and her husband decided they never want children. That's their choice, and I truly don't care. What I did care about was how aggressively she pushed it on everyone else. Dana spoke about parenthood with open contempt. Anytime the topic drifted toward family or kids, she hijacked the conversation and turned it into a speech about how children destroy marriages, how society is a trap, how anyone who has kids is basically signing their life away. And look, people can live however they want. But there's a difference between choosing your own path and trying to shove everyone else off theirs. And finally, there was Tessa. On the surface, she was the most normal of the 3. But she'd never been married, didn't believe in monogamy, and loved pushing that belief into other people's relationships. She supported open relationships and non-traditional arrangements, and she never missed an opportunity to suggest my wife and I would be happier if we slept with other people and explored. Every time she brought it up, I shut it down immediately. I didn't argue. I didn't debate. I just set the boundary. No. But Tessa kept pushing anyway, and the fact she wouldn't stop, even knowing how he felt, didn't make her feel brave or enlightened. It made her feel disrespectful. Because my views didn't match theirs, I avoided them whenever possible. My wife, on the other hand, kept those friendships despite everything. I told myself it was important for her to have friends. I respected that. I tried to make it work. At one point, I suggested a simple arrangement. If she planned to invite them over, she would tell me ahead of time. That way I could make other plans, disappear for a while, or at least prepare myself mentally. She agreed, and then she forgot. Not once or twice, several times. I'd come home after a long day and suddenly be forced into awkward conversations with people who didn't respect me, in the one place that was supposed to be my refuge. It became exhausting. This time was no different. I walked in, saw them with wine glasses in hand, laughing loudly like they owned the place, and I felt irritation spike in my chest. I'd had a brutal day. Overtime. Extra hours. My body felt heavy and my mind felt raw. All I wanted was pajamas, silence, and a book. They noticed me immediately and called out, excitedly inviting me to join them. I forced a polite smile and declined. I hugged my wife, quietly reminded her how tired I was, and told her I didn't have the energy for small talk. I wasn't trying to start a fight. I was trying to protect my peace. She nodded. So I walked away and went to the bedroom. I was just about to close the door when I heard Nora's voice carry through the thin walls. Loud, confident, and sharp. And what she said made me freeze in place. Nora told my wife it was unfortunate she was stuck with a difficult husband like me. She said it was disrespectful that I didn't sit down with them. And then my wife agreed with her. Chapter 2. Words that cut deep. Hearing that felt like a punch to the chest. My wife told Nora she had learned to adjust by now, implying I was stubborn, like I was a burden she'd had to train herself to tolerate. I stood there, staring at the bedroom door, trying to process what I was hearing. I had just come home from work. I had been polite. I had hugged her. I had simply said I was exhausted. How did that become a crime? Then Dana and Tessa joined in. They said they could never be married to someone like me. Someone antisocial, withdrawn, boring. Tessa's voice turned condescending as she said I needed to come out of my shell. And then, to my disgust, my wife laughed. She laughed like it was funny, like I was a punchline. She added that I could be rigid with my habits. And then she said something that didn't just hurt. It crushed me. She said sometimes she wished she had married someone different, someone more outgoing. Hearing your wife say that out loud, in front of her friends, feels like being erased. Like everything you've built together can be dismissed with a casual sentence and a sip of wine. And what made it worse was the imbalance of it all. I've been working long hours to support our life. My wife was a stay-at-home spouse. We didn't have kids. I was the main provider. I had paid off debts, carried the financial weight, and tried to create stability. I wasn't perfect, but I was loyal. I was steady. And in return, I was being mocked in my own home. Things escalated fast when Tessa, emboldened by the alcohol and the group energy, said this was exactly why she'd been encouraging my wife to meet other men behind my back. That sentence hit me like ice water. Encouraging her to meet other men. She started talking about how many men out there were more successful, more attractive, more exciting than me. She made it sound like upgrading a husband was as normal as upgrading a phone. And then my wife, laughed again and said, "You know what? Lately I've been thinking the same thing. Maybe I should take a look at those men." Her friend cheered like she'd said something brave. That was the moment something in me snapped. Not violently, not loudly, just cleanly, like a thread finally breaking. I stepped out of the bedroom and walked into the living room. My heart was hammering, but my voice came out steady. "What the hell are you saying?" They all froze. My wife's face flashed with surprise. I told them I had heard everything. Every insult, every joke, every suggestion. I turned to Tessa and asked what kind of person encourages someone to sabotage their own marriage. Tessa went red and stammered that she didn't realize I could hear, that she was just joking. Then I looked straight at my wife. "Are you unhappy with me?" I asked. "Do you actually want to be with someone else?" Her face crumpled, and she rushed into apologies. She claimed it was just girl talk, words said without meaning, something said to fit the mood. But her excuses sounded thin. Hollow. Nora jumped in immediately, defensive and aggressive. She accused me of eavesdropping, of invading their privacy. I laughed, a bitter, disbelieving sound, and reminded her they were sitting in my house drunk, speaking loudly. This wasn't whispered. It was broadcast. Then Nora's tone changed. Her eyes sharpened, and she looked at me like she'd found her target. "You're just like every other man," she spat. "Your wife was right about you." I frowned, confused. "What are you talking about?" That's when she said it. The sentence that turned my blood cold. "You're an abusive monster hiding in plain sight," she said. "Just like my ex." My mind stalled. Abusive? Monster? Before I could even form a response, Nora leaned forward and added, "Your wife told us everything. We know how you treat her. We know what you do to her." I stared at my wife. She looked down. She didn't correct Nora. She didn't deny it. And then Nora screamed the accusation that crossed every line. "You hit your wife, don't you?" For a second, I couldn't breathe. Not because I was guilty, but because I understood what that accusation could do to someone's life. How quickly it could spread. How fast it could become truth in people's mouths. I pointed to the door and told them all to get out. Everyone except my wife. Nora refused. She shouted that she wouldn't leave my wife alone with me, that she didn't trust me, that I might hurt her again. Again. That word echoed. Again. I looked at Nora and said, clearly, "I have never laid a hand on my wife. Not once. Ever. And I'm asking you to leave because you've taken this too far. I need to speak to my wife alone. Get out." Nora kept ranting. My wife still didn't deny the core accusation. And that silence was its own betrayal. I opened the front door and told Nora she had one chance to walk out before I called the police. That's when she spat in my face. Everything went white hot for a moment. I lost my composure. I grabbed her shoulders and pushed her toward the door to get her out. The second I touched her, she started screaming. "He's hurting me. He's attacking me." My wife finally jumped up then. Finally, telling Nora to leave, saying she was drunk, saying she needed to go home. But Nora, shaking with rage and alcohol, pulled out her phone and called the police. Right there, in my doorway, on me. When the officers arrived, Nora turned her performance into a tragedy. She told them I had hurt her. She claimed my wife was in danger, just living with me. And shockingly, Dana and Tessa backed her up. They'd watched Nora provoke, escalate, lie, and they still supported her story. The officers questioned my wife, asked if she felt unsafe, asked if I had ever hurt her. Through tears, she finally told the truth. I had never laid a hand on her, never threatened her, never harmed her in any way. Even then, the officers questioned me harshly. Their eyes stayed suspicious. One hand kept hovering near a holster. Their tone made me feel like a criminal in my own home, like I was already guilty in their minds. The only thing that saved me that night was something I'd installed months earlier for a completely different reason: a security camera in the living room. I never imagined I'd needed to defend my reputation inside my own house. But I did. I showed them the footage from the moment I walked in to the moment Nora started screaming. The camera captured everything. Every insult, every escalation, every accusation, and my attempts to stay controlled. It showed I didn't attack anyone. It showed I didn't make a single aggressive move until Nora spat on me and refused to leave. After watching the video and checking my record, the officers finally saw what really happened. Nora had pushed the situation over the edge. In the end, they escorted her out and put her in the back of their car to take her home. They gave a warning about drinking and causing disturbances. Then they left. And when the door closed, my house didn't feel like home anymore. It felt contaminated. Since that night, my wife has apologized, but not in a way that brought closure. She said she was sorry, but whenever I asked why Nora felt bold enough to accuse me of abuse, why Dana and Tessa backed her up, why her friends seemed convinced my wife was in danger, she avoided the question. Our neighbors started asking what happened. why the police came, why there was yelling. Meanwhile, Nora, Dana, and Tessa began spreading their version of the story. The shame felt suffocating, because in gossip, the denial never travels as far as the accusation. Chapter 3. Accused in my own home. After a few days of spiraling, I posted anonymously on a relationship advice forum. I told the story and asked if I had handled it wrong. The responses were blunt, and they all pointed in the same direction. Nobody throws out accusations that's serious without a reason. Someone had planted the idea. One comment hit me harder than the rest. Nora didn't accuse you randomly. She believed she was defending your wife. That means your wife told them something. Another person said my wife might be playing two roles: happy wife at home, victim wife in front of her friends. The more I read, the more the puzzle pieces clicked into place. Nora's accusation had been too specific, too immediate, too confident. That kind of confidence doesn't come from thin air. So I confronted my wife again, this time refusing to let her dodge. At first, she denied being involved. She insisted her friends just overreacted. I kept pressing, and eventually, she broke. Through tears, she admitted the truth. She told Nora, Dana, and Tessa that our relationship was chaotic, toxic, that I was a bad husband. She said whenever they all met up, they would vent about their partners and complain, and she never had anything bad to say about me. And because of that, they mocked her, rolled their eyes, left her out, treated her like she didn't belong. So, to fit in, she started making things up. At first, she said it was small, exaggerations, little stories meant to get laughs. But then she escalated, and the words that came out of her mouth next felt unreal. She admitted she told them I sometimes raised a hand to her, that I was physically abusive. I just stared at her, waiting for the punchline, waiting for her to say she was joking. But she wasn't. I asked her why, and her answer was quiet and pathetic. I don't know. I just wanted them to accept me. In that moment, I understood something that made my stomach drop. She didn't just betray me emotionally. She endangered my life. A lie like that can ruin someone permanently. It can get you arrested, fired, ostracized. It can destroy your future. And she used it like social currency, like a coin she spent to buy approval from 3 bitter people. I told her she needed to clear my name, admit she lied, tell them the truth. She refused. She said people would forget with time. She told me to move on, like this was a minor misunderstanding, not a loaded gun pointed at my reputation. That refusal was the moment I knew it was over. I told her I wanted a divorce. She exploded, crying, yelling, accusing me of abandoning her over something small. Something small. That's what she called it. Then she made it worse. She threatened to lie in court, to paint me as the abuser she knew I wasn't, just because I wouldn't stay and keep playing along. And in that moment, the fear became real. I wasn't just heartbroken. I wasn't safe. Chapter 4. The truth shakes the neighborhood. A few days later, I made a decision I never thought I'd make. I posted the living room footage, the same footage that cleared me with the police, in our local community social media group. I was tired of whispering answers to neighbors, tired of watching people look at me sideways, tired of being treated like a danger because of a story someone invented. Along with the video, I posted a clear explanation of what happened that night. The insults, the accusations, the police call, and the fact that my wife had lied for months, claiming abuse just to fit in with her friends. I didn't do it for attention. I did it because when an accusation like that is floating around, silence doesn't protect you. It buries you. The response was immediate. The neighborhood wasn't outraged at me. They were outraged at them. People called Nora a menace. They called Dana and Tessa enablers. They called my wife what she was, a liar who weaponized a serious accusation for social approval. For the first time since that night, I felt something close to relief. Vindication. I told my wife she needed to leave the house by the next day. I was done. The house was in my name, and after what she'd done, I couldn't share a roof with her another minute. She argued, cried, tried to negotiate, but I didn't bend. Because the truth was simple, I didn't feel love anymore. I felt danger. Final update. 3 weeks later. 3 weeks have passed since that night, and I can finally close this story. The day after I posted the video, My wife left the house with a suitcase. Later, she returned with someone to collect the rest of her things. I didn't argue face to face. I kept everything in writing. Calm. Controlled. Because I understood something now. When someone can invent abuse, even a normal conversation can become a trap. That same day, I spoke with a lawyer. I filed for divorce. I documented everything. The police report, the footage, the messages. Not for revenge. For protection. In the neighborhood, the impact was immediate. People who had looked at me with suspicion changed their tone after they saw the video. Some neighbors apologized. Others told me Nora had caused scenes like this before and that her drinking made her dangerous. The community group, which first felt like a public trial, became the thing that stopped the lie from spreading further. My wife begged me to take down the post. She said I was humiliating her, ruining her life. And my answer stayed the same every time. Her life wasn't ruined by a video. It was damaged by a lie she chose to create, feed, and protect. Trust didn't shatter in one night. It crumbled with every invented story, every hint of violence, every time she chose her friend's approval over my safety. There was a moment, near the end, when she finally admitted something that sounded like truth instead of excuses. She said she became a different person around her friends. That she built a victim wife persona because in her mind it was the only way not to end up alone. She asked for another chance. She cried. But it wasn't about tears anymore. I couldn't live with the fear that one day, to feel accepted, she might invent something even worse. You can't build a life with someone who uses lies as social currency. As for Nora, Tessa, and Dana, the ending was simple. They disappeared. After the post, they stopped showing up near my home and stopped mentioning me publicly. I don't know if it was shame, social pressure, or fear of consequences, but they stopped looking for conflict. My wife distanced herself from them too, though it didn't change the truth. The lie didn't start with them. It started inside my marriage. The divorce process moved forward in an orderly way. I kept every record. I followed one rule. Don't improvise. Don't react impulsively. Don't give anyone a moment they can twist. All I wanted was to come out of this with my name clean and my peace intact. And for the first time since that awful night, I feel like I'm getting there. If you ask me what I learned, I'll say it plainly. People who live to please others can become dangerous when they confuse acceptance with survival. When that need mixes with lies, and a group that normalizes bitterness, the result could be an accusation that destroys a life. I love my wife. I supported her. But love is not enough when the simplest things are missing: loyalty and truth. Today, my house feels like my refuge again. No fake laughs in the living room. No conversations turning me into a villain behind my back. No fear that a disagreement will become a police report. I'm still hurt because this isn't the life I imagined. But I'm calm for the first time in a long while. Lesson learned. Adrian, learned that when someone can lie about the person they claim to love just to fit in, that relationship stops being a safe place and becomes a silent threat. The strongest feeling that remains is betrayal, because there's no deeper pain than watching your name be destroyed by the person you trusted most. What do you think about what my wife and her friends did? If you were in my place, how would you have reacted? Tell me in the comments. And if this story made you think, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it so more people can hear it.